So it's been 2.5 years now that I've lived here in the Philippines, and the truth is, I literally cannot go back to America, even if I wanted to. And I know there are a whole lot of other guys out here scattered across these islands who are sitting in the exact same situation I'm in. But nobody talks about it because talking about it makes it real, and there's a part of you that doesn't want it to be real. But it is real. And today I'm going to tell you exactly why, because I think if you're considering this move, you deserve to hear the part nobody puts in the brochure. When I moved here in late 2023, I didn't have some grand master plan. I didn't sit down with a financial advisor and map out the next 20 years. I was 59 years old. I'd spent 28 years as a corrections officer in the Arizona State Prison System. I was burned out in a way that only people who've worked inside a facility understand. The kind of burned out where you don't even realize how tense your body is until you get on a plane and leave the country and your shoulders drop for the first time in a decade, and you think, oh, so that's what relaxed feels like. I had a state pension of about $1,100 a month. That was it. No savings worth talking about because a corrections officer's salary in Arizona doesn't leave much room for a retirement fund after you've paid rent and car insurance and kept the lights on for 28 years. I knew my Social Security would kick in at 62 and add roughly another $850 a month. But at the time I moved, I had the pension and nothing else, and I just knew I couldn't do another year in Phoenix watching my money disappear into rent and electric bills and a car that needed something fixed every other month. A buddy of mine from the department, a guy named Travis, he'd come out to the Philippines a year before me, settled in Dumaguete, and he kept sending me these messages. Pictures of his apartment, his balcony, the ocean, dinner that cost $3, a doctor visit that cost $9. And one night he called me and he said, "Craig, just come. Just come for a month. You'll know within a week." So I came. And he was right. I knew within 4 days. I went back to Phoenix, gave notice on my apartment, sold my truck, sold most of what I owned, and flew back to Dumaguete with 3 suitcases and a one-way ticket. And for 2.5 years, it's been good. Really good. I've got a small one-bedroom apartment for 9,000 pesos a month. That's about $160. I've got a woman named Grace, who I've been with for a year and a half. She works at a pharmacy near the university. She's 44. She's got her own income, her own life. She chose me, and I chose her. And that's a whole different story for a different day. I've got my morning routine, my coffee at a little place on the boulevard where the woman behind the counter has my order ready before I sit down. I've got my afternoon walk. I've got the market where the fish vendor saves me the good bangus because I show up at the same time every Thursday, and she decided at some point that I was her responsibility. My $1,100 a month covers everything with room to spare. Rent, food, electric, water, internet, a scooter I bought for 40,000 pesos, Grace's phone bill because I offered and she let me, a cushion for the things that come up because things always come up. At the end of every month, I've got money left over. A retired corrections officer from Arizona saving money. I still shake my head at that. But here's the thing I didn't see coming. Here's the thing that snuck up on me about 6 months ago and has been sitting on my chest ever since. Not in a panicking way, in a quiet, factual, this is just how it is way. Last year, around November, I started thinking about going home, not moving back, just visiting, seeing some people, maybe catching a Cardinals game, getting some real Mexican food because the one thing I miss about Phoenix more than anything is a proper carne asada burrito, and the Philippines has a lot of wonderful food, but a carne asada burrito is not among its offerings, so I started planning. And then I started doing the math, and the math is where everything changed. Plane tickets. Round trip from Cebu to Phoenix with a connection. I looked at maybe 15 different dates. The cheapest I found was about $1,400. Most were closer to $1,800 or $2,000. So let's call it $1,600 if I book at the right time, and I'm flexible and I don't fly during a holiday. That's already more than my entire monthly income. But okay, I get there. Then what? I don't have a home anymore. I sold the apartment. I don't have a friend with a spare room for 2 weeks because my friends from the department, the ones I'm still in touch with, they've got wives and kids and lives, and asking a guy if you can sleep on his couch for 2 weeks when you haven't seen him in 2.5 years is a conversation that gets awkward fast. So I need a place to stay. A cheap motel in Phoenix runs $70 a night minimum. An Airbnb maybe $60 if I'm lucky. 2 weeks, call it $900 on the low end. I don't have a car. Phoenix without a car is not a city. Phoenix without a car is a collection of strip malls separated by distances that will kill you if you try to walk them in August. I need a rental. 2 weeks, cheapest option, probably $500 after insurance and fees. So I'm looking at $1,600 for the flight, $900 for a place to stay, $500 for a car. That's $3,000. And I haven't eaten a single meal, put gas in the rental, bought a single beer, or done the one thing I went there to do, which is sit down at a restaurant with a burrito in front of me and feel like I'm home for 5 minutes. $3,000. That's almost 3 months of my pension. To visit a country I'm a citizen of for 2 weeks, and the kicker, the part that really made me put the laptop down and stare at the wall for a while, was this question. If I can't even afford to visit for 2 weeks, how could I possibly afford to move back? That's when I started running the real numbers, the scary ones, the ones I'd been avoiding. Rent. I looked at apartments in the Phoenix metro area. Not nice apartments. Basic apartments in neighborhoods where I used to work, which tells you something about the neighborhood. The cheapest one-bedrooms I could find were $1,200 to $1,400 a month. Let's take the low end. $1,200. That's more than my entire pension, and that's before first month, last month security deposits. So $3,600 just to get the key. From a landlord who is going to run my credit and find a file that has cobwebs on it because I haven't had a U.S. address or a U.S. credit obligation in nearly 3 years. I don't have a car. In Phoenix, you need a car the way you need lungs. Public transit exists, but it doesn't go where you need to go when you need to go there. A used car that actually starts every morning is $5,000 minimum in this market. Insurance at my age with a gap in coverage, maybe $150 a month. Gas, another $100. So the car alone is $250 a month ongoing, plus the $5,000 up front. I don't have furniture. I don't have a bed. I don't have a couch. I don't have plates. I don't have a coffee maker. I sold everything. Everything. Because every video I watched and every article I read about moving abroad said the same thing. Freedom from possessions. Clean break. Let go of the stuff. And I listened. And now every pot and pan and towel and fork is something I'd have to buy again. Health insurance. I'm 61. I'm not old enough for Medicare. I'd need to buy coverage on the open market or through the VA, which is an option but one that involves wait times and paperwork that make the Philippine immigration office look like a drive-through. Private insurance at 61 with no employer, I looked it up. We're talking $500 to $800 a month for anything that actually covers something. And a job. Let's talk about the job because this is the part that really made me laugh, and not the good kind of laugh. I'm 61 years old. My last job was corrections officer. My resume has a 2.5-year gap that I'd have to explain by saying I was living in the Philippines, which is going to raise more questions than it answers. I'm not going back into corrections. My body told me it was done with that work somewhere around year 22, and I spent 6 more years not listening. So what am I going to do? Retail? Security? Something that pays $15 an hour and has me standing on concrete for 8 hours wondering how I ended up back here. That's not retirement. That's punishment with a paycheck. Add it all up. Rent $1,200. Car costs $250. Insurance $600. Utilities $200. Food $400 if I'm careful. That's $2,650 a month minimum. My pension is $1,100. When Social Security kicks in at 62, I'll have maybe $1,950. I'm still short $700 a month. Every single month, and that's the bare minimum. No entertainment, no eating out, no dating, no life, just survival. In Dumaguete, on $1,100 a month, I have a life, a real life. I have my apartment and my scooter and my coffee on the boulevard and the fish vendor who saves me the good stuff and a woman who makes me laugh and a doctor I can actually afford to see and a sunset over the Bohol Strait that I watch from the seawall 3 times a week while eating barbecue on a stick that costs 15 pesos. $1,100 in Phoenix means barely surviving, counting every dollar, choosing between the electric bill and groceries, driving a car that might not start, sitting alone in an apartment I can barely afford wondering what the hell happened. $1,100 in Dumaguete means freedom. That's not an exaggeration. That is the exact math of my life. But here's the part nobody talks about. The part I've been chewing on for months. I love America. I really do. I served 28 years protecting people who the rest of the country pretends don't exist. I paid my taxes, I did my time, I'm proud to be American, but America doesn't have a place for me anymore. Not because it doesn't want me, because I can't afford the entry fee. And the Philippines, I love this place too. I love it more every month. But I'm not from here. I'm not a citizen. I can't vote. I can't own land in my own name. I renew my visa every year and pay my fee and get my stamp. And that stamp is a polite reminder that I'm here because they allow it, not because I belong. So where does that leave me? Somewhere in between. A man without a country. That phrase used to sound dramatic to me. Now it just sounds accurate. I can't go home to the country I served for 28 years, and I can't fully become part of the country that took me in. I'm the guy who showed up. A welcome guy. A liked guy. But a guy who showed up. Now here's where I'm supposed to tell you that it's sad. That I'm trapped. That this is a cautionary tale about a man who burned his bridges and now he's stuck. But that would be a lie. And I'm done with lies, especially the ones I tell myself. I'm not trapped. I'm free. For the first time in 28 years, I'm not walking through a metal detector to get to work. I'm not listening to doors lock behind me. I'm not coming home with my shoulders around my ears and my jaw clenched and 4 ibuprofen in my stomach. I wake up when I want. I eat when I want. I go where I want. I sit on a seawall and watch the ocean, and nobody needs anything from me except the fish vendor who needs me to show up on Thursday so she can give me the bangus she already set aside. Can I go back? No. The math doesn't work. The life doesn't exist. The slot I left filled in behind me the day I got on the plane, and it is not reopening. Do I want to go back? I think about it sometimes. Late at night when it's quiet and I miss the sound of English everywhere and the smell of a grill going on a Saturday afternoon and that particular thing that October does to the sky in Arizona that you can't explain to anyone who hasn't seen it. I miss that. I won't pretend I don't. But then morning comes and the coffee is ready and the boulevard is waking up and Grace texts me something that makes me laugh before I've finished my first cup, and the sun is doing the thing it does over the water in Dumaguete, which is every bit as good as October in Arizona, just different. And I think, no, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. I made peace with it. The in-between, the man without a country thing. I made peace with all of it because the alternative is spending the years I have left grieving a life I can't afford in a country that has no slot for me, while ignoring the life I built in a country that does. And $1,100 a month in the Philippines isn't a limitation. It's a lottery ticket I cashed in while everyone else was still standing in line. That's all I've got for you today. But I'd love to hear from you if you're in the same boat, if you've done the math and it came back the same way mine did, or if you're sitting somewhere right now thinking about making this move and you want to know what it's actually like, drop me a comment. I read every single one. And if this video gave you something, if it made you think or plan or just feel a little less alone in the decision you're making, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. It helps me keep making these and hopefully helps the next guy who's staring at a calculator at 2 in the morning trying to figure out if the numbers work. They work, just not in the direction you expected.